right? Everybody's talking about being the buffalo, right? Being the buffalo, and I love that analogy about the buffalo. Are you recording this right now or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. The analogy itself, right? The analogy of the buffalo. This is really good. People haven't heard this, but I think this is so good. So the analogy of the buffalo, right? The analogy, you know this. The analogy of the buffalo, and it's in like Montana, it's like Yellowstone or something, right? And you got the cows and the buffaloes, and the blizzard's coming, and the whole idea is that the cows run away from the storm, and the buffaloes run into the storm. And the death rates on both animals is significantly lower with the buffaloes than it is with the cows. And the reason is you cannot run the storm, right? That's the whole thing on there.
You've been in the storm longer.
You're in the storm longer, so they have more deaths, whereas the buffaloes run into the storm, and because they run into the storm, they're out on the other side of it much faster. And, well, don't be the buffalo. Be the freaking storm.
Be the storm.
Be the storm.
I love that.
Right? So that was kind of a pivot that I heard on that recently. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. It's a whole different mindset.
It's a whole different mindset.
Yeah. I love that.
Forget about the buffalo. Be the freaking storm.
Yeah.
So Fireside Chats.
Fireside Chats.
Episode 1. Season 1.
Let's get started. Look at that. That's fancy.
That was good.
That's nice. That was worth however much money I spent on that. That alone. Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah, so Fireside Chats. Obviously, I'm Jason Huck, team leader of...
Is it obvious?
Well, maybe not to some, but to others.
Okay.
Team leader of Keller Williams Franklin. Been in the real estate business since 2016. Investor and bourbon enthusiast.
Investor. Airbnb investor.
Airbnb specifically.
Which I think that's rad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some days.
Yeah, some days. Yeah, that's a good story because you've got some interesting challenges with your Airbnbs right now. Not that there's an opportunity to hide it, but you're going through a lot. I'm Keith Collins, mortgage lender with Movement Mortgage. I've been doing this for about 18 years. Relocated 2 years ago to Middle Tennessee.
From where?
From California.
Yeah, the only one that came here.
The only one that came here. A real estate investor, and you were the bourbon enthusiast, which I like too, but I'm going to go with chicken enthusiast.
Chicken farmer.
Chicken farmer.
Yeah.
It's a good write-off. Schedule F?
Yeah.
Yeah, Schedule F, chicken farmer.
I definitely knew that.
No.
Assuming
throwing some heat
it's a little hot. I know. Yeah, we're hoping the sprinklers don't go off.
Okay.
What is this going to look like? Assuming there's an episode 2, and I hope there is.
I think so.
What are we going to be able to expect to see from future episodes?
I think the cool thing here is interviewing real estate agents. We might have some other people, other guests too, maybe mortgage lenders or other people.
Real estate professionals
that have a story to tell.
Yeah.
Successful people that are doing some unique things in the market that are standing out, and let's just get in and let's learn their story. Let's figure out where they came from, what hurdles they overcome or overcame, and look at, maybe throw some doozies at them to
something they don't expect.
They don't expect.
Get some
but there's
real
always
content.
a really cool real estate story too. Like, tell me the craziest real estate story. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to interview some top producing real estate agents to learn kind of their path, and then hopefully educate some other people on maybe what they could replicate to have the same success.
I love that. But today, you're stuck with us. So what are we going to talk about today, aside from that I'm going to get a heat stroke from our
should
fire?
roast marshmallows one day. Yeah, we should just have marshmallows, and at the end we roast them.
Yeah.
Okay, mindset and opportunities in the market, I think, is what we're jumping into today, right?
Yeah. So in regards to opportunities, where do you see, this is a completely different market than we've experienced over the last couple of years.
Yep.
The popular term has been the shift. It's no longer a shifting market. It's a shifted market.
Fair.
Right? And so in a shifted market, what are the opportunities? What do you see?
I think in a shifted market, and I think it goes hand in hand with mindset, but in a shifted market, it's unreasonable. In previous markets, I could come in as a mortgage person and get with my team and rally them up and say, we're going to get 10 loans this week.
Yep.
And there was opportunities that I could reasonably grind through that week and find, like, I could go create opportunity. But in a market that we're at today, where interest rates have increased rapidly, I can't go find refinances like I used to, and things have changed. And so I think today what we need to be focusing on is where's the business in the future.
Yeah.
I heard someone say, Gary Keller kind of came up with it, and he was relating it to trees in a forest, and then business. And his whole perspective is be there first. Not that we're trying to be there first, meaning that the tree that is there first is the one that gets all the sun, right? Because it grows the largest canopy, and then it's harder for everybody else to get that to get that same light that they're fighting for. And not that we're trying to cast a shadow on other people, but in business, you got to be there first.
That's how you grow to the extent that you're capable of.
Correct. And so I think in this market right now, that's what people need to be, or what agents need to be focusing on is the mindset. What are the activities that I need to do on a daily, weekly basis? They're going to make me successful.
Yeah.
They're going to keep my mind right and keep me positive. But then where am I building for the future?
Yeah.
What's happening in the future? And how can I get there first?
Yeah. So from your, you've got years of experience and in different markets, right? And so from your perspective, if you're talking to an agent, and maybe they're not a brand new agent, maybe they're a producing agent, it's just they've been a producing agent in the last 3 years, 4 years. They haven't experienced a market like we're in today. What is that activity that's going to help them, not just today, hey, I'm going to go get a listing today.
Sure.
But you're planting the seed to be the tree 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months down the road.
There's something that I see a lot with real estate agents and just kind of across the board is the lack of profitable and productive professional relationships outside of your home inspector, your lender, your title officer, right? The bankruptcy attorney, the trust attorney, the financial advisor, the CPA, people that interact with real estate around what they do and are the trusted advisor for their customer. I had a real estate agent one year, 2009, 2010, got 28 closed transactions from a bankruptcy attorney.
Wow.
That's massive, right? They were all short sales. This is a different market. But if we're talking about, what are we potentially going to see moving forward? Real estate is really, and I think now more than ever, it's a life event business. So what life events are we going to potentially see in the future? Maybe more of, and there might be opportunity around it. And I think one of those things is potentially bankruptcies. Right. So we have a lot of conversation about a pending recession. In a pending recession, bankruptcies happen. And maybe more now than maybe more than we'll see now. And so I think as a real estate agent, again, it's not business today, but could we be focusing on those types of relationships? One of those being bankruptcy, right? Because in bankruptcy, you're not really a situation where you can get financing to get out of it.
Right.
You may have equity in the property, and I think people are going to have to sell real estate at that point in time. It may not be a short sale, right? But I think there's opportunity for that. So real estate agents should be getting after that.
It's funny you say that, and we didn't talk about this beforehand, but I just heard of my first, from another agent, bankruptcy situation where they were able to help a client. And whenever they said bankruptcy, I was like, wow, or it's foreclosure, but like they were talking about bankruptcies and foreclosures and short sales and things like that. And that was the first time that I'd heard of that in
a long
years.
time.
Yeah. And so it's kind of weird, like, oh, wow, we're back to that.
In a shifting market, those things happen. I know one of the agents that was a big foreclosure agent back in 2008, 2009. They just went and reactivated all of their old foreclosure relationships. Not that they think that this huge foreclosure wave is coming, but there will be some.
Well, you're skating to where the puck's going to be.
Correct.
You're not skating to the puck. And we didn't have to do these in the last market that we're in because it was more of that like gardening. We're just trying to pick all the fruit because there was
a low-hanging fruit.
Yes,
there was so much.
Really low.
Yeah, and our baskets weren't big enough.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then now it's, okay, we got to go hunt and we have to prepare before we go.
Correct. Yeah. So I think those professional relationships is something. Trust attorneys is another one.
Yeah.
It's and this is, again, it goes back to that whole life event thing, and I don't want to take it to a morbid standpoint, but there is a aging population. We have an aging population, and we have an aging population that has a lot of equity and a lot of assets. And that aging population is going to have some sort of transition. They're either going to pass away, or they're going to maybe transition into assisted living, or maybe they're going to sell their home and move in with their kids. But there is going to be some transition there. And when there's assets, usually those assets are in a trust. And usually when those things happen and those assets need to be dissolved and sold, the family that's involved in that is heavily trusting the advice of the trust attorney.
Right.
And that trust attorney reaches out to real estate agents to get valuations on those properties, but also recommendations and referrals for future sell and buy opportunity.
Yeah. And who are they going to reach out to? Are they going to reach out randomly to an agent that they just happen to Google, or are they going to reach out to somebody that's already formed that relationship with them?
Correct. And so I think that's another huge opportunity is trust attorneys.
Yeah. I did notice that I had a deep swallow whenever you mentioned the parents moving in with their kids. I hope my parents aren't watching this and like, what was that? So, yeah.
But it's a thing, right? And so I think working with trust attorneys is a big opportunity. And I think there's actually a unique opportunity in real estate for a real estate agent to refer a lot of people during and after the transaction.
Yeah.
And it's super easy for a real estate agent to find an opportunity to refer a trust attorney now during, immediately after, or 2-3 years after. That's a simple referral for you to make. And I think most people who have assets and children really should have a trust.
Yeah. And that's something most people aren't thinking of.
No, they're not. So go get a trust attorney, bring them on a podcast like this, interview them, send it out to your real estate agent, start sending them referrals, and then create that relationship. I don't think that we can go right into that relationship with that trust attorney and say, send me your referrals.
Yeah, you're bringing value first.
Correct.
You're creating and cultivating the relationship, and then through that relationship, that's where the referrals and the leads are going to come from. It's not cold calling as many trust attorneys as possible and, hey, do you got any leads for me?
Right.
It's what can I do for you? How would I go about best referring somebody to you to help you? And then down the road, of course,
those opportunities come. Showing a genuine interest in another person.
Yep.
Yep.
So then other opportunities.
What do you think?
I think trust attorney is something I didn't even think of.
Yeah.
Of course, cultivating relationships with your sphere of influence. But a lot of your sphere of influence right now have really great rates on their homes.
Correct.
And I think what a lot of us are going to run into is they just bought, right?
Yep.
And so they just bought and they've got a great rate. And so odds are they're probably not selling their $500,000 house to move up to a $750,000 house to get a 7 rate or anything like that.
No,
I'm
they're
not going
not
to talk rates.
They're saying screw this.
Yeah, they're like, no, I'll just wait.
No,
I'm fine. This house isn't that bad.
Yeah,
Feel pretty good about it, right? And I think the opportunity is going out and finding those people that you don't have that relationship with, that maybe didn't buy in the last couple of years, or maybe they're looking to invest. You just talk about you had a ton of people that you already know, like, and trust that bought homes in the last 3 years. They've got a ton of equity in their property. So it's showing them, hey, here's how you get that equity out of your property that you want to stay in because it's a great rate.
Right.
And here's how you can employ it in an investment that's still going to cash flow and appreciate value.
In mortgage lending, we talk about annual mortgage reviews all the time. And I'm a big proponent of that. If you went and invested $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 with a financial advisor and didn't have a semi-annual review with your financial advisor, or they didn't at least reach out to you for that, you'd probably fire them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why is my financial advisor not updating me on all this money I invested with them? But then we go invest $500,000, $600,000, $800,000 in the real estate market, and it's totally acceptable.
We don't talk about it for 5 years.
Not at all, right? Yeah. And so what a lot of mortgage professionals do in the mortgage industry is we do what's called an annual mortgage review or an annual equity review. And so once a year we get on the phone with our customers and, hey, are there any new debts pending? Any new opportunities to invest? Are kids going to school? Like, lots changed in my life in the last year. Anything changed in yours? And do we have the mortgage in the best position possible?
Yep.
I think that's a great call for a real estate agent. Like an annual real estate review.
Yep.
Right. And in that annual real estate review, do you have anything coming up?
Yeah.
Well, I've always liked to buy. I've always thought about buying a second home, or I've always thought about buying a rental property.
Yeah.
Or my kids are going off to college, and I'm wondering, how do I mitigate that? I'm like, so just, I heard this the other day. I think this goes to mindset. Call reluctance is the perceived absence of value.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you have call reluctance, if you're worried about calling your previous customers,
Yep.
it's because you don't think you have value to bring to them.
Yep.
But if we call and express genuine interest and actually have that value, like, hey, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to check in and figure out where you're going in your life.
Yeah.
And is there any way that I might be able to help you in that?
Yeah.
If not, great to connect.
Yeah.
If so, there's a lot of opportunities.
I love that. And it does transition right into mindset. I think about myself whenever I'm making these phone calls, right? And the calls that I'm like, man, I don't know if I really want to make this one is maybe if I don't know that the transaction went great, if I'm providing value, I'm providing a referable experience, then that takes away that hesitation, because I know that why wouldn't they be happy? They had a great experience, right? And that's, what I'm building that business off of. But then also, if I'm calling just to get something from them, if I'm calling just to, hey, how can you help me? That's not something you're really looking forward to.
And that's not the call to make.
You're calling from 10 to 12 and it takes you until like 10:30 to make that first call, and it's a voicemail and you're like, thank God.
Yeah.
And that's not the call to make. If you're calling somebody saying, oh my gosh, I'm about to bring you a ton of value, I can't wait to talk to these people, then it's a much different phone call, right?
Correct.
And it's a whole different strategy, and it goes into that mindset of what is the mindset of an agent today? Completely different market. What does that mindset need to be for them to be successful versus the market that we just came from?
So I'm in lending, right? And when someone asks me what I do, I don't tell them in mortgage lending. I'm telling them I'm in residential real estate.
Yep.
The reason is like, everybody wants to know about residential real estate. Everybody does, right? So I think that mindset that the real estate agent has to enter into is, I have information that it's a shame that you don't know about.
Right.
Like
I can help you.
I can help you.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to call and help you with this specific thing, but I think it's that confidence that the agent has that I bring value. And the only way to do that is to learn. Right. I think right now when we're a little bit slower, and hopefully even when we're busy, but 10-15% of your day should be learning. Learning about the market, right? Learning about the opportunities, learning about 1031 exchanges and short-term rentals and midterm rentals, so that if you ever enter into one of those conversations, you have information to be able to I have value here. I can help here, right? And so when you spend that, when you invest that time in learning, right, then you have that, you're more confident in that call. And so that's where, from a mindset standpoint, it's one, I'm not selling like cars here, right? This is we're in a business that fundamentally changes the financial future of a family.
Builds wealth.
Absolutely does. Absolutely does. And when you come from that mindset, I think that you can bring value, and you're way more confident.
Oh, absolutely.
In that call.
And talking about confidence, I heard something the other day, and it's one of my favorite things that I've heard. And I think it was Ed Milet that said it, but he said, "Show me a confident person, and I'll show you somebody that does exactly what they say they're going to do. Show me somebody that lacks confidence, and I'll show you somebody that rarely does what they say they're going to do." And so if you go into it with the confidence of, I'm bringing you value, and I'm going to do exactly what I'm saying that I'm going to do. I'm going to help you, and here's how I'm going to help you. And maybe I want to help you, and I don't know how to help you just yet. But I'm going to go into this call of seeing how can I best help you. And you have that confidence of, I'm not just calling to get a sale. I'm not trying to help you give me money. I'm trying to help you build wealth. And it's a totally different conversation, a totally different mindset. Much easier to make those calls.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. So then, staying on the mindset piece, right? It used to be real easy to have a bunch of great days right in a row. And, I had a friend that reached out to me today. They want me to list this property. I've got somebody that, the next day is wanting to buy a house, and it's just popping up all over the place. Not the same market anymore. Maybe I've got some listings that are sitting. Maybe I've got some sellers that don't really understand, why they're not selling in a week or two. You can very easily feel like, I'm the only one that this is happening to. Right. And it's very easy to, as a real estate professional, whether you're in lending or title or an agent or, anything, to feel like you're on an island and I'm the only one that's not busy right now. Right. And so, what would be a good way to battle that? I don't know if it's confidence, but just kind of like getting in that like slump of businesses a little slower.
That's a good question. 6 inches. So I think 6 inches is where every real estate agent needs to be paying attention to, and that's the 6 inches between your ears. Right. It's what do I got? The battle of the mind is what we have to win every day, and I think it's those small things for me in the morning. Right. This is rough right now. Right. I've been doing this for 18 years, and this is the toughest real estate market I've been in. I don't feel like I can impact change on a daily basis. And I don't like that. That's not fun. But if I can focus on my routines, right, at least I have those wins that I can control. And for me, I know if I get into the gym in the morning, my day is way different than if I don't.
Tell me about it.
Absolutely. And it's, our bodies have pendulums. They're made to move. And I'm not trying to say everybody needs to go get in the gym and do a workout, but for me personally, that is a key measure of success for me in a day. Is because every morning I wake up, I want to do it, and then if I don't do it, I'm beating myself up all day because I didn't. And so it's having that routine, committing to that routine, and going through it. And for me personally, it's getting in and kind of moving my body, and then knocking that out and be like, okay, if this day sucks, I got that done. Right. And I think, and then just kind of building upon that.
It's finding that win for today.
Correct.
So there's always something. If this happens, I still got to win today.
Right.
And I think we just kind of came out of this crazy wild market, and I, a personal training background, and so I go back to my fitness industry ties all the time. But imagine you're training for this race, and you train your tail off for this race, and then it happens. And then you got kind of that like lull after it.
Okay. Like after you complete the race?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got a week or two that it's like, okay, this is kind of my rest period.
Sure.
you got to then get back into the training mode, right? You got to get back into your routine. And I think that's what happened with us with the real estate market. We had 2 years where it was a different kind of hard. The hard was we've got to work 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, because we've got all these opportunities coming at us and we don't want to drop the ball.
Right.
And so we trained real hard for the race and we crushed the race. But then there was that lull after the race. There was this lull where we felt like, hey, the market has shifted. We went from working 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, to now I don't really have anything to work on.
Right.
Then what? And then as the market picks back up, and we're not in that market anymore, right? The market is picking back up. We are seeing properties get multiple offers on occasions and things like that. And so now it's time to, hey, you got to get back in the gym, like you just said. You have to get those repetitions back in. You have to get your routine down, and you have to know your new numbers.
Correct.
Because your new numbers are not going to be the same.
That's a fair point. So what we've actually done as a team is we've looked and said, okay, we're going to go back to 2018, 2019 is our baseline. 2020, 2021, 2022 happened. They were amazing. It was great. But from a business standpoint, we can't use that as a baseline. It's unrealistic. We had, 2%. I did a 15-year fixed it and it started with a 1, right? It's just unrealistic. So we have to go back to a 2018, 2019 baseline. And then really, I think at the end of the day, it's so cheesy and people say it all the time, but real estate is a contact sport.
Yeah.
Like we just have to have more conversations about real estate and elevate ourselves to a place where we are a valuable, not a commodity, but a valuable individual in the lives of our customers. And if we go do that, we'll win.
Oh, yeah.
It just might take a little while.
It might take a little bit.
And winning will look different.
Yeah.
And you know what? And give yourself grace. I think also, we're way more hard on ourselves than other people are on us. So give ourselves some grace.
Yeah.
Really, we have to do that too.
Yeah, give yourself some grace. Obviously, if you're competitive and you're driven, and a lot of us have that same mindset, right? We want to win every single day. I want to win the game every single day. And sometimes you don't win the game today. Sometimes the game is won 3 months from now, but you still have to have the at-bats. You still have to win the innings. You still have to progress up to that time so you can win 3 months from now.
Season 1, episode 1, Fireside Chats, man, we were all over the place. We talked about mindset, we talked about real estate, and what I'm really looking forward to is hearing some really cool stories from real estate agents as we kind of progress forward. So
that's going to be great.
This baby's in the books, man.
Yeah, there it is.